welcome to the Kingsford Flivver Flash. I'm Coach Van Dusen. This is Season 21, Episode 9, a Senior Spotlight. Sit down with Class of 2022 graduate, Zack Person. It's always great to sit down with seniors, especially just before they're going into their senior year, and talk to them about their football career so far. Today we have Zack Person, who came to the Flivvers just before his junior year of football from down in Wisconsin. He played his junior year at Kingsford as a wideout during the 2020 season, which was kind of a mess through the coronavirus, but he did very well. And over this summer, he's been attending camps and been recruited to some Division I schools. So let's see what he has to say. All right, Zack, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Hey, so talk to us a little bit about your football career growing up. I mean, you're going into your senior season. This isn't the first year you've played football. So just kind of talk us through the beginning and all the way through till today.
Yeah, so I've been playing football my whole life, all the way through flag football and then starting tackle football in 5th grade. I went to most of my schooling in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, a little bit north of Milwaukee. But there I was actually quarterback. And then my sophomore year, actually, I started some games at quarterback and then also at defensive end. And just growing up, it just kind of helped me find the love of the game and found out that was really what I wanted to do with my schooling career. And then hopefully after my schooling career, maybe make a career out of it. And where I am here as a wide receiver, I definitely never would have guessed that growing up, that I'd be playing in Kingsford. But everything happens for a reason, and you just got to trust God, and that's what I've been doing.
Excellent. So talk to us a little bit about that, because you came to us just before you started your junior year. And I mean, you're a big, tall guy. I'm sure, coaches down by Cedarburg were anxious to see where you're going to end up, and you ended up in Flivver Blue. So talk to us about how you ended up coming to Kingsford.
Yeah, so my sophomore year, I was starting on varsity, whether it was at quarterback or I played a little bit of wide receiver, but mainly quarterback. And then we had a senior quarterback. Me and him were kind of switching off throughout the year, and I started a couple games there. And then coming into my junior year, I was the starter, and I was getting recruited a little bit then, Division II schools, just kind of reaching out, kind of uncommittable offers. That's a little bit more of a complicated thing, but I was actually a coach from Michigan State who wasn't there anymore, and he talked to me about playing tight end and if that was kind of a future for me, if I was interested in that, playing that wide receiver tight end position just with my build. And we were kind of from this area. My parents went to Florence, just kind of made sense, especially with a lot of my family being up here. My grandparents live up here. And then, like I said, my parents are from up here. So it was almost like coming home for everybody.
Yeah, so both your parents are from Florence?
Yep, they both graduated from Florence in 81 and 84.
Awesome. And then you guys were able to find a house and in Kingsford, right?
Yeah, so it was pretty tough, actually. We have the house in Spread Eagle, so we had a place to stay at least while we were looking, but we looked at a bunch of different houses and there was a very small market and it was tough to find, but yeah, we did find one.
That's excellent. And we're glad to have you. So talk to us about your favorite part of football. You've been playing football for 13, 14 years now. Tell us, like, year to year, what is your favorite part about the sport?
I really couldn't even name everything. I like everything there is about football. I love being in the weight room and going to practice. Some guys hate going to practice and doing the 2 days and everything, but I just love that about football, just the grind and then just getting better every single day. But there's nothing better than playing on Friday night with all your teammates under the lights, all the fans. But really, I don't think there's a single thing that I don't like about football.
That's awesome. And you had mentioned the weight room stuff, which when you think about it, that's a majority of the year, right? Our actual football season is only a couple months. So talk to us a little bit about what you have been doing this off season to help prepare for your senior year, because that's a huge commitment that you're making.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I started doing some personal training on Milwaukee with some guys that I knew there. And it really kind of broadened my knowledge of what you need to do as a Division I college athlete. And then I really kind of do a lot of those things now. It's a lot of weird exercises, stretching, different mobility things, and putting on size obviously too is huge. And as a football player, knowing what you need to do to put on size, and knowing about your macros and the calories you need to be able to get bigger, stronger, and then faster, which is the goal for the football season.
So this is a holistic approach for you. This isn't just go lift a bunch of heavy things. You're talking nutrition, mobility. I'm assuming sleep is a part of your equation.
Yeah, for sure. I really didn't know that much about it until, like I said, after my freshman season. I started going to a place called Athlete Performance in Milwaukee, and they had a bunch of NBA guys there. He trained Tyler Hero, JJ Watt went there too, and all the Watt brothers. And it really just, like I said, broadened everything for me on how much you need to worry about. And it's really just a job, and you need to take care of your body like you're preparing for pretty much war.
Nice. Just like taking care of a piece of equipment, right?
Pretty much.
That's awesome. So tell us, you've been doing this a long time. You're to the point where you're getting recruited Division I, which is a huge deal. Tell us your biggest lesson learned coming off of the football field.
Just always trust the process. Like I said, I never would have guessed that I would have been here playing the wide receiver position. It was always my dream to play at Division I level, and I believed in myself that I could. But like I said, I never would have guessed it would have been as a wide receiver. I was a quarterback forever, and that's just how I looked at the game. I still look at the game as a quarterback just because it makes it easier to look at things with the defense. But you just got to trust that God has a plan and just keep working. Go as hard as you can all the time, because we see it all the time. You never know when your time's going to be up playing the sport, and you just got to keep going.
Yeah, there's and I don't even remember where it came from, but it said every football game comes down to 4 or 5 key plays, and you can think about any game you've ever played that was close, and it was a fumble, it was an interception, it was, a 4th and 1 where you went for it and got it or didn't get it. And you never know which one of those plays it's going to be. So you've got to go every one. I want to talk a little bit about, because this is really interesting to me. You played quarterback and you grew up being a quarterback. Now you're on the other side of the ball, you're receiving it. So how do you think being a quarterback for all those years has helped you in your role on the team as a receiver now, either as a tight end or as a wideout?
Like I said, football is everything to me. So I'd always be studying stuff and just looking at coverages. Like, I think I started looking at coverages when I was in 7th or 8th grade and understanding what the weaknesses in cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4. And honestly, that started with kind of Madden with me. I would just look at the coverages, and being a quarterback, if you play quarterback in Madden, you're going to lose, because it's just such an advantage, and then translates to real football too. Because me as a receiver, I look at the safeties, whether it's one high, too high, or they're rolling somebody up, and I know where the weaknesses are going to be in the defense. And that helps you no matter what position you are. If I was, let's say, a running back or a lineman or something, I would know where the quarterback should be looking and where the weakness is in the coverage.
That's excellent. And a lot of players don't have the opportunity to play both spots. And I have to believe that if you would have gone from receiver to quarterback, it would be kind of the same type of deal, right? Because as a receiver, you're looking at different things. Which foot's forward? Where's their weight? Are they bailing? Are they sticking their foot in the ground? What are they doing? So it's really interesting. You have both perspectives, and I'm sure that they both help each other out. Talk to us about the Division I recruiting process. That doesn't, it's not something that happens all the time up in the Upper Peninsula. Being a Division I athlete is a really big deal. So just kind of walk us through. You said initially, like at the end of your sophomore year, some Division II schools kind of started poking around and stuff. If you could just walk us through that, that's super fascinating.
Yeah, so there's a crazy amount of rules with the NCAA. Like, college coaches can't directly message you until September 1st of your junior year. So it was a lot of my coach telling me that certain schools were asking about me my sophomore year. And last year we didn't have camp season, or let me think. Yeah, 2020, we didn't have camp season. So usually after your sophomore season, you're at those camps, kind of getting on the radar, because that's the first time you're actually able to talk to those coaches with all the rules. And obviously I wasn't able to do that. And honestly, I say it to my dad all the time, if COVID never would have happened, I'd still be playing quarterback, because I didn't get that chance to go around the country and show how good of a quarterback I was, because quarterbacks aren't really recruited out of the Midwest as much. just because there's a lot of certain camps you have to go to growing up, which are mainly out of the South or on the West Coast.
Yeah, so there wasn't camp season, and I'm sure the the contact has been a lot different. I'm sure it was a lot more through Zoom and whatnot, but you did end up visiting a few places and getting offers there. If you could talk to us a little bit about that, because you didn't just go into an office and talk with a coach, you did all kinds of different things.
Yeah, so there was a dead period because of COVID until this past June, and then June was what's called a quiet period. There's different periods that the NCAA kind of made up, but the quiet period is recruits are only allowed to be on campus. Coaches aren't allowed to come to you. So they pretty much had to cram an entire summer and spring worth of evaluations into that 1 month, which is why it was so crazy. So I was trying to get to as many places as possible to work out. I liked going to the unofficial visits and then the workout better because you have that one-on-one time with the coach and there's not a bunch of other guys trying to take your reps and everything like that. And then you have the chance to meet with the head coaches and sort of see campus just by yourself. And that's just a crazy experience that a lot of people don't get to have.
Yeah. So where did you end up going?
So I started off the month, I was in University of Maryland. It's in College Park. It's a great place to be. All the coaches are great there. And then I spent time at Michigan State, Central Michigan, and then we went back to the East Coast. We were at Duke and North Carolina. And then at the end of the month, I was at Cincinnati and Michigan.
That's awesome. And what an experience, even just to go see all of those different facilities. Anybody who's been to a college football game, even smaller schools like Finlandia, Tech, Northern, they all have really great facilities. And when you start getting into that Division I level, it goes up from there. Talk to us a little bit about these workouts. Were they all the same? Did you just do like testing? Like walk us through a workout.
Yeah, so I mean, they were fairly similar, but different colleges have different offenses and stuff that they look for, but they'd all start off. You need your measurables, height, weight, 40 time, your shuttle, your 5, 10, 5. And then you go into routes. They just want to see how the top of your routes are, how your releases are coming off the line, or certain colleges like me playing more as a wide receiver. They weren't big into the blocking tight ends. I'd be out wide running routes, or some would have me as a wing back. It really depends with that, but obviously blocking is really important. So it really depended on the college, whether it was more stock blocking on the outside or just a 3-point block. It really depended on the philosophy of those colleges.
But almost all of them had you do your height, weight, probably wingspan, 40 time, vertical. I'm assuming all of those different metrics so they kind of see what they're getting.
Yeah, it's pretty much a pro day like the NFL guys when they're working out for the teams. That's pretty much what I did every 2 or 3 days.
Excellent. That's excellent. So talk to us about you made a choice, right? And it's been plastered all over social media. So talk to us a little bit about that and kind of how you came to that decision and where you're going.
Yeah, so I spent time at Toledo. I camped there on June 18th and I had a personal workout. I spent the day at Toledo with Coach Staten. He's the tight ends coach, and then he helps with the receivers a little bit too. And we had lunch there, and then I toured campus and everything. And then I camped there, obviously, and it was just a great feel of the university. Coach Staten's a really great coach. He was at Michigan State for 10 years or so, so he has a lot of experience. He coached there with D'Antoni, and like I said, he's just a great coach. And then Coach Candle, the head coach, he's established a really good culture there that really sets the standard for what they're looking for in their recruits and then their players that are there, that mediocre is not okay.
I like that. Mediocre is not okay. And if you end up going to Toledo, what is your academic degree? What are you going to leave there with?
Yeah, so I haven't totally decided, but I'm interested in like majoring in finance or possibly kinesiology or something in the athletic training field, or physical therapy, something in that realm of things.
Awesome. So we're going to get back to, thank you for sharing all that. We're going to get back to Flivver football a little bit. And I want to know, we start practice next week, right? What are you most excited for strapping up as a senior here at Kingsford?
Just playing real football. You go to all these camps like I did, and you see all these guys who think they're really good and earning offers, but all those camps are not football. It's the same thing with 7-on-7. You play 7-on-7, sure, it's fun, but it's not football. And strapping up the helmet, putting on the pads, and actually starting to play real football and huddling up with your teammates, and then finally, like we have coming here in August, playing a real game under the lights. There's nothing like it, and there's really no feeling that can describe it at all.
That's awesome. And you guys are pretty tight too. The senior classes, you guys are pretty close. And a lot of times you can tell how a team is going to do based on how they get along in the locker room, how they get along, out in the parking lot. And that's really exciting to see. So I have one last question I ask every podcast guest here. And that is, you've been doing this for a while. You're going into your last year of doing it. And most football players, once they take their helmet off after their final game, their senior year, they're done. They'll never play contact football again. So my question for you is, what advice do you have for either those freshmen that are putting on a Flivver helmet for the first time, or those middle schoolers that are going to be sitting in the stands cheering you on Friday night? What's your advice for those younger players?
Just enjoy every part of it. Like I talked about, there isn't a single part that I don't like about football. A lot of guys, the 2 days, they get to be long and you get tired and everything. But once you get to like my senior year now, you really appreciate those times you had and working hard, and you really just start to cherish every moment you have it, whether it's in the weight room, the practice field, or really the end reward, which is playing on Friday nights. But you can't play on Friday nights without working the rest of the 11 months out of the year.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And, obviously I'll see you out there, but good luck come Monday.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
That was Flivver class of 2022, Zack Person. And if you would like to follow Zack on social media, I will put his Twitter and Instagram down in the show notes. And just some other news around the Flivver Nation. We want to say a big thank you to the community, the businesses, and all the volunteers that helped us with Flivver Fest. That was this past weekend, and it was an absolute great time. There was great music. There was several class reunions. Again, thank you to all the volunteers who helped set up and tear down all of the tents. Thank you to all the businesses who donated prizes and items for the silent auction. And we're just so grateful whenever the community can come around and help the Flivvers win in the community. One last note is practice is going to start for Kingsford and all the other schools in Michigan on August 9th. We are very excited. We will have 2 weeks of practice, and then we will move into game week. So then we can start seeing the Flivver Flash come out every week, talking about the post-game results from that week, and then also previewing the next week's games. As always, check down in the show notes. You can follow the Kingsford Flivvers on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's a blog. You can email us, and hopefully you're watching on YouTube. Until next time, this is Coach Van Dusen. Win in the classroom, win in the community, and win on the field.